All right, everyone, let's talk about lipids. So, lipids, that's another word for fats. They're not just fats, but when we're going to talk about lipids, like one of the things I want you to make sure you think about are fats. We'll talk about the other rules that they have. Just like carbs, they're only made of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen. So let's try to think and take a pause after the question and think about the answer for yourself. How can we have two different things? One is like bread, another is oil or fat or butter, for example. How can we have those two very different things made of the same elements, carbon, oxygen, hydrogen? Take a pause the video, and think about that for yourself, and then I'll tell you the answer. Did you pause the video? Well, spoiler alert, I'll tell you, they're shaped different. The number of each of these, carbon, oxygen, and hydrogens, is different in lipids and in carbs. And the way that they're arranged is different. They're not maybe arranged in like a long chain anymore. So that's how we can get such a variety of function. Like lipids can waterproof you. If you've ever gotten like cooking oil on your hands and tried to wash it off, you see the water will just bead up on your hands and it doesn't come off really easily unless you use soap. That's quite different than sugar. So the different properties come from the different number of atoms of each element found in the molecule and how they connect or bond with each other. Here are some examples. We have triglycerides. Those are like a common type of fat. We have phospholipids. Those are important. They make up the cell wall. If I had an editing feature, this is where I would use it. They do not make up the cell wall. That's something like cellulose, and we, as humans, don't have that. Phospholipids make up the cell membrane. Sorry for saying the wrong word, and sorry for not having a video editor. Phospholipids make up the cell membrane. And we can also have steroids, like the actual steroids, and some like cholesterol form the base of many of the hormones that are in our body. So here's an example of a lipid, of a fatty acid. It's a little bit like a carb in that it can form this long chain or this long tail. The red dots here are oxygen, and the black are carbon, and the white are hydrogen. So this is a long tail of carbon and hydrogen, and they are nonpolar, which means they don't mix with water, which is why, remember, oil and water don't mix. They literally don't. And it's because of the chemical structure that they don't mix. So we would find something like this, stearic acid, in things like butterfat, coconut oil. It's a saturated fatty acid. That means all of carbon's bonds are full. Okay, carbon can make 4 bonds. So each one of these carbons is full. It's got, like, for example, this one, it's bonded with 3 hydrogens, and then it's bonded to another carbon. So all 4 of its open bonds are full. And so it makes kind of a straight line. So that's saturated. Saturated fats are things that are solid at room temperature, like butter. A triglyceride, remember tri, like your tricycle as a kid, means 3. So triglycerol is a glycerol with 3 fatty acids. All right, and that's kind of the shape. It looks like the letter E. And the long part of the letter E is the glycerol, and the legs of the letter E are the fatty acids. That's a very common type of fat, is a triglycerol. Now here are phospholipids. Maybe you remember biology class from a while ago and seeing the picture of these cute little guys. They have a little circle head and 2 little wiggly, wavy tails. The circle part, that's the head, contains phosphorus. So another element in addition to carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So another element thrown in changes the chemical structure and makes them different. What happens is the circle part, we call that the head, where the phosphorus is polar. That means it's got kind of like a differing charge, which makes it attracted to water. But the tails, they're the fatty acids, and they're nonpolar. They don't mix with water. They don't like water. So the tails are sort of attracted to each other, and the heads are not. They're attracted to water. So in here would be water, and out here would be water, and in between you have this fatty layer. So this could form a circle, like a bubble. and that's our cell membrane. So they're found in the cell membrane. They form these lipid bilayer. Bi, like di, means two. So it forms this double layer, and you see it here. Here's one, here's two. So phospholipids play an important role because they're in all of our cell membranes, all of them. So lipids can also be steroids. And steroids are lipids that contain cholesterol. And I know my head's in the way here, I'm sorry. But if you change the structure of cholesterol slightly, it can form this hormone, testosterone. And if testosterone is changed slightly, it forms estrogen. You might have heard of these before. They're hormones that kind of produce different effects in the body. Males and females produce both of these. Males just produce more testosterone generally than females. So those are common steroid hormones. They're lipids. So I just wanted to remind you, hey, these are the important things you need to know. We talked about the elements, C, H, and O. If you're talking about a phospholipid, it has phosphorus in it, but that's only phospholipids. We talked about 3 examples. I feel like I didn't really talk enough about their functions. We'll come back to that. Their building block or monomer, technically, they're not polymers. Technically, those pieces are not monomers. But the building blocks of them are fatty acids and glycerol. So let's look at their functions really fast, and just to make sure that we talk about that. What do fats do? They are waterproof. They're waterproofing molecules. They release a large amount of energy. They have a large amount of energy stored in these bonds. So they are a long-term energy storage. They can be used as insulation. So things like whales and their blubber keep them very warm. What else can they be? They can be part of our cell membrane. They can be hormones, which are chemical signals that get sent through our body. And those are all different functions that these have. So I hope that helps. I hope it was short and simple about lipids, and I'll see you in the next video.